Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is my pleasure to introduce our Checkerboard chat today, which is being held with Amie Dodson. She's going to be talking to us today about real estate and the career field and if it's the right field for you. I'd like to start today by thanking Graduate Knoxville, who is our corporate partner that is sponsoring today's Checkerboard chat. And I'm going to start by giving us a brief introduction of Amie before I turn it over to her and let her take the floor. So Amie is a former student at the University of Tennessee. She is a graduate of 2007. She has been a real estate agent for quite some time now, excelling in that career through a multitude of areas that she's going to share with you in just a few moments. But Amie has progressed through that industry and has been a lead generator to become a top producing agent with Realty ONE in the state of Tennessee and owning and managing her own brokerage. In this presentation, she's going to share with us today what she's learned throughout her experiences and about what it takes to succeed in real estate today. So Amie, it has been a pleasure to get to know you prior to the chat today. Very excited for you to share your time with us today. I do want to let our guests know that you can ask questions with Amie throughout the chat today. So you can put those in the comment section of any of the streaming services that you're watching, and she will answer those questions throughout today's Checkerboard chat. So I'll be monitoring those, but for right now, I'm going to hush up and give Amie the floor and let her get started. So Amie, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yep, thank you. So like Jordan said, I'm a graduate of University of Tennessee, 2007. I got my bachelor's in psychology and a minor in geography. And it was kind of a funny thing that somebody told me one time that I would never get lost physically or mentally. Not sure that was spot on, but we'll go with that. So Jordan's got that first slide up there. You can see all my information, email, text, website, phone number, everything is on there. And feel free to reach out to me at any time. Maybe not during this, probably won't answer you right now, but get with me if you have any other questions or need some more information. And this will pop up at the end as well, so you can drop down that info if you need it. But if we want to get on to this next slide where it says, how did I get here? Just kind of some brief information on who I am, why I'm capable of giving you this chat, talk, all the information. So like I said there, I got my bachelor's in psychology and minor in geography, and I worked for a draftsman for a long time. In the background a little bit for some architects. So I've got a good basic knowledge on homes, not just real estate selling. And then I was raised a third generation saleswoman, I guess. My grandfather and my dad are both insurance agents. And my dad has always said that no matter what you do, go to bed with your integrity. So that's what I have always tried to do. I've also done about 6 years in nonprofit and raising money for a nonprofit in Virginia. And if you know anything about nonprofits, you know that you are constantly selling. And that's kind of how I ended up here, really, to begin with. But I also, before I got my realtor's license, I made about 50,000 cold calls just to reach out to people who were selling their houses. It didn't work, which that's unheard of in this market, but was previous to this. So I'm very familiar with being able to talk to people on the phone, not normally face to face like this, where you're seeing my face, I guess I should say, but just on the phone. So got pretty good at that. And then my first year that I was licensed, top producer, and I've kind of continued that on. It's a bit of a competition with myself. I like to push myself and make sure that I do it the very best. So leading into all of that, right as the pandemic hit, we had been in discussions, my business partners and I, about opening a brokerage. And we decided to go ahead and kick it off. I know it was probably not the best time, but it's done well for us. Little bit of hard stuff to deal with that were very unheard of, unprecedented, but we knocked it out and got this going. So just a little bit of information on how I got here and, like I said, why I'm capable of doing this for you. So I've thrown this up here. It is a lot of words that you will hear if you have anything to do with real estate, buying, selling, friend that's a realtor, lender, somebody in title, just all of these different facets. And you can see there are words that you've probably heard of, loan, for instance, that's a pretty easy one. Sale, cash, all those different things. But these are probably about a third of the terms that you encounter if you were in real estate. Maybe about all of them that you would hear if you were buying or selling, but there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that you may not necessarily understand or know. So I found a kind of a funny video that gets into all of the reasons that it's good to have a realtor and how overwhelming it can be. So let's watch that for a second, and then we'll dive into this. So I hope you guys found that video kind of funny, and you have probably been in that position if you are used to, or if you have purchased a home, sold a home, like I said, been involved in real estate at all. And it's just kind of funny to me, the way that it's overwhelming. It wasn't funny when I was in that process myself, but now I can look back and see how ridiculous that video is, but it probably feels like that sometimes. So we're going to jump straight into kind of a brief summary on what's going on in the market right now, and see if, you know, any of these questions or these things kind of ring true with you as well. So here we go into how's the market changed, and we're just going to go briefly in the last few years, maybe the last 5 years. Over the last 2 years, really, there have been a lot of different things, but some of this has been going on for some time. The inventory shortage has been here for a long time. Knoxville and Knox area is known to not have enough houses for the people that are buying. It just does. I don't really know all the reasons for that, and there are several, but it happens. Then there are now an influx of out-of-state buyers, and a lot of that comes from, you'll see directly to the right, the pandemic restrictions. It's not the only reason that people are moving here, but that's a large part of the reason. They want different restrictions than what they had where they were, whether it be a different state, county, whatever. And that continues on into, some people don't want to be in a specific county around here. They want to be in a different county now. Just lots of people moving. And then now we're running into higher mortgage rates. This is something that has changed a lot recently. We're kind of looking at stuff that was 2015 or before. We're hitting those mortgage rates again, interest rates, and combine that with the now very high prices, and you get the part that's even worse and harder to buy a house. So then, like I said, the pandemic restrictions, and to add to all of that inventory shortage, we've got baby boomers' kids. Everybody has always said baby boomers are the largest generation. Well, that was true, but now the baby boomers had kids, and they may have had 2, 3, 4 kids, some of them. And now, if they were young when they had kids, those grandkids are now buying homes. So all of that kind of adds into what's going on, some of the changes, and how it's impacting us. So on the next slide, you'll see, this was pulled from, I pulled this yesterday. So you can see at the top there, 926. And it goes into the average days on market and versus the average sold price. And you can see it goes all the way back to September of 20. So it does not have all of September because we obviously haven't completed the month, but you can see in September of 20, the average days on market was about 45. And that is the days on market before it went under contract. That is not how long it was on the market before it sold and closed, but just how long it was on before it went under contract. Then if you look at August of this year, you see the average days on market is much less. We've had some months that were lower, but right now it's still, I guess, about half, probably less than half of what it was in September of 20. Then combine that with the average price being higher, and you've kind of created this storm of all the reasons that it's hard to buy a house right now. And then, like all of the things that I was talking about on the previous slide, it's a lot of information. It's a lot going on. And hopefully in these next slides kind of coming up, we'll get into some of the things that I can hopefully help you understand and explain for the future if you need to buy a house, sell a house, or just don't know what the heck's going on. So the next slide is it's about all your interest rates, and I said a little earlier kind of what we were looking at. It's about like what it was in 2015, and as of yesterday, the average rate for a 30-year fixed conventional mortgage is 6.59. That is more than double what we were about 18 months ago. And all of it, of course, is going to have different factors as far as what kind of loan you're getting, your personal credit score, all those different things. But on average, that's your average interest rate. So again, combine all of that with the higher prices, and you end up kind of in a storm. And you also end up having much higher payments, which is where people are now. 6 years ago, if you bought a house, your payment was going to be about half of what it might be now, just because of the purchase price of the home. Your interest rate's the same, but your purchase price is higher. So lots of things going on, and I'm always happy to get into this more, but I'm going to kind of give you a brief overview of what else is going on in real estate and how to buy and sell. So let's get into first buying a house. All right, so your main three groups of people that you're going to want to interact with in the purchase of a home are your realtor, lender, and title company. There are lots of other parts, moving parts, companies, parties that are involved, but these are the three main ones that you're going to be involved with, and they are going to be the three that you probably communicate with the most. Lender and realtor tend to do more of that. Title has a huge part to play in it, but they may not necessarily be in communication with you on all the details up front. So your realtor, if you have a good one, like me maybe, a realtor is going to guide you through the whole process of buying a house. They're also going to show you houses, write all your contracts, negotiate for you. They're going to help maintain your schedule and timeline. So they're going to keep you on track on when you've got an appraisal, when you need to turn in earnest money, escrow money, all those things. And then they are also going to be the main communicator, kind of the go-between for all other parties involved. Then your lender is going to guide you in the correct loan choice for you. There are so many different loan choices, and I definitely don't have time to get into those today, but there are lots of different loan choices, again, based on your credit history, what you're looking for, all that, and they're going to help get you to that point to help you figure out what's best for you. Then they're also going to qualify and approve you, handle your loan details as far as collecting all your documents and things that they need to get you approved. Then they will be the one that orders the appraisal, and they're also going to work with underwriting and other things. There's more that goes on behind the scenes, and I don't necessarily know all of that because I'm not in that side of it. They do a lot, but one of the big things is working with your underwriter to finalize your loan approval. So the last group is your title. Title will be the one that orders and clears all your title work. So they're going to go back and look at who owned the house before, if there's anything that catches their eye on the deed, anything that comes up that should be fixed prior to, so you don't get stuck in a lawsuit later on and losing your property, basically. They're also going to collect the payment at closing. They're going to take your check, all that kind of stuff. They're going to balance fees, make sure your payment is showing up correct, make sure you're not being charged too much in taxes, all of those details that will end up on your final closing documents. And then those are things that they have to deal with. Again, I'm not necessarily privy to all of those details because I'm not in that side, but I know how they work with us. So they also just kind of verify that all of the pieces are in place with lending, with me, title, everything. So those are your three main groups of people that you should work with in buying or selling a house. All right. The next thing, we're going to jump right into it. You're buying a house. Where do you start? Do you go straight to a lender? Do you go to a realtor? It all depends on where your money's coming from. If you have cash, you don't need a lender. If you have, and which means you can go straight to your realtor. If you are getting a loan, you need to start with lender first. I have run into it many times, especially with new home buyers, first-time home buyers. They say, hey, I think this is what my budget is. They've done a calculator online. Excuse me. They find out this is what they want to pay. They never talk to a lender. They come to me, want to see houses. I have learned that I need to send them to the realtor or to the lender first, because if I don't, I'm going to go show them a house that they can't afford. It's going to be the perfect house. And then they're never going to want to go back to what they can't actually afford. If they've got the taste of the good 4-bedroom, 3-bath with a pool in the backyard on an acre, they're not going to want to go back to a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, on a tiny lot in the middle of downtown Knoxville. So always start with lender, in my opinion, if you need a loan to buy a house. So your loan officer is going to request all of your documents. They're going to get your tax filings, all that kind of stuff, paychecks, proof of employment, proof of insurance at some point. And they're going to help get you qualified and pre-approved for your loan. So that's 2 different kinds of things. And I'll touch that quickly. Pre-qualification is an estimate of your approval. It does not give you exact amounts. And the reason for that is because it doesn't always require a credit history. So they have to really get into your credit history to get you actually pre-approved. Okay. So you can get a pre-qualification and again, some estimates on what you can afford, what you can spend, what you can make on your payment. But the pre-approval is where you get the more definitive numbers. And that's also going to carry more weight when you make an offer, because your realtor can tell the other agent, hey, listen, they're not just pre-qualified, they're pre-approved. They can get this loan. So that's just the 2 different ways of handling things with the lender. So after you've spoken to the lender, next you're going to go straight to your realtor. Okay. First steps for your realtor are going to be helping determine your budget based on cash and loan approval, like we just talked about. And that's where realtor comes in talking to your lender. They're also going to listen to your needs and desires. If you want to be on a 3-acre piece of property, you probably don't need to look right near campus at UT. You're not going to find that you're just not going to find it really, but also it's going to be astronomical if you do find something close to that. So a good realtor is going to listen to what you're looking for and help guide you in the desired area, whether it be you want to be in an area that has specific schools, you want to be in an area that has specific churches, sports, whatever it might be. They're going to help, direct you towards that. They're also going to set up searches and hopefully send you searches that you can open and click on through your email or text message that's going to be based on those needs. They're also going to start showing you houses after we've done all the other steps. And then once you find the house that is perfect for you, they are going to write your contract and negotiate with the other realtor. The other realtor will then go to the seller and deal with all of that. So there are more steps after that. After you have gotten a contract written, realtor's negotiated, everything is signed, you go on to the next one, and you're going to be bound. So that's up on our next slide.
Amie, I did want to grab you really quick for a question that we had come in related to some of the things you've discussed so far. So one of our LinkedIn users asked, a great lender must be able to inform the buyer of a max purchasing power, max borrowing capacity, and the type of loan solutions. And they asked, is that correct? So if you could speak to that, that would be great.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. And that's where it goes with your loan choices. You have a lot of different kinds of loans, such as USDA, THDA, FHA, conventional, VA. That's just some of the ones I can think of off the top of my head. And they all have different requirements. So that's going to play a huge decision in what your lender helps guide you to. If you want to be in a rural area, then most of the rural areas that you're probably going to want to be in are eligible for USDA, but let's just say right in the city of Knoxville, not eligible. City of Oak Ridge, most of that part is not eligible. And there are websites, so the lender and you both can go put in an address and find out if it's eligible for that. But all of those things are definitely going to come with your lender. What was the last part of that question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they were just asking, and the last part says max borrowing capacity and the type of loan solutions, and then they just asked if that was correct.
Yes, yeah. So all that's correct, and that's based on your credit and your income, your employment, what you make a month. They are going to be able to give you your max borrowing power, basically. So I think I hit most of that. I don't know if they have a follow up on it, but so let's jump into continuing down.
I was just going to say, I think you're all good, but to reiterate, if anybody has any additional questions, you can put those in the comments at any time, and I'll come back and interrupt Amie again whenever those pop up.
No, good time to take a drink of water. So as we continue on for the realtor, once they have negotiated that contract and gotten everything signed, it's bound. You are officially in contract for buying a house. So at that point, they're going to tell you where you need to send your earnest money. Earnest money is also, another word for it is escrow, which you saw in that lovely video. It's on an actual crow that's named S, and it's not an egg in a beaker. They're going to tell you where you need to send that earnest money, and that is basically good faith money, okay? That's written into your contract amount. Most of the time nowadays, that's going to be about 1% of your purchase price, and you need to get that based on the contract. 3 to 5 days is a common time period, but you need to get that to your realtor or to title company, whoever's holding that money. Like I said, it's written in the contract, but you need to get that to them so they can hold it until you get to closing. Once you get to closing, that money is part of your down payment or purchase, okay? So, excuse me, it goes directly towards the purchase of the house. If for some reason the contract falls apart based on the terms in the contract, it's given back to you, okay? There are a lot of other things that can go on there, and I won't get too deep into that because that could take a long time, but you can get your earnest money back if you break the contract based on terms in the contract, okay? So your realtor, once they've got your earnest money and all that, they're also going to send your contract to the lender and title. And those are the two that will continue things going on in the background. And lender will have to send that to underwriting and all that. Title will be the ones to review the contract. Like I said, do the title search, all those things that we talked about. Your realtor is also going to help set up your timeline and expectations. They're going to help you know, based on your contract, when your inspections have to be done, anything going on there, if it relates to inspections, if you have to renegotiate, all those things. They're also going to help keep up with when your appraisal is. Even though that's ordered by title, typically they will tell the realtor, or the realtor can ask about it when that's going to happen. You do not order appraisal until your negotiations and inspection period are over. You don't want to go in, spend $3,000 on an earnest money, and then back out of it because of inspections. Something terrible was wrong, foundation problems, or the roof caved in, or something like that. You don't want to back out of this contract and have already paid for an appraisal. There's no reason for that. You don't need an appraisal if you're not buying the house. So most of the time, they're going to wait until your inspections are completed before that happens. So I think we've hit most of those things, tentatively, schedules, closing, all that kind of stuff. So if you are buying and selling, things are going to be different, okay? But the next steps are mostly going to be if you're selling a house. Like I said, you can see they are selling and buying at the same time. May look a little bit different, and that's something that your good realtor, such as me, will guide you through in that process, timelines and all that. But in general, if you're selling a house, your realtor is going to run a comparable market analysis, also known as the CMA. That's going to break down what has happened to comparable houses in a certain amount of time. If most of the time we do 3 to 6 months to get a good judge of what the market's doing at and around your current home. If there's nothing in 3 to 6 months, we can go back a little bit further or expand the search area a little bit more. But realtors should know how to run those CMAs to help you determine what your list price is going to be. All of that is also impacted on your timeline, your needs, and the condition of your home. If you need to sell very quickly, we need to price aggressively. Like I said, depending on your needs, how much you have to have out of it. If you're in over your head and you have to have a specific amount, we've got a price based on that as well. You also have to price based on the condition of the home. If the condition of your home is much higher or much lower than what your neighbor's house was that sold right next door, we have to help put that into determining your price and what we hope that you're going to sell for. They're also going to help walk you through all your paperwork and agreements, the commission structure. And that's a whole other thing that I'm definitely not going to get into today because that can take a long time. But in those documents and paperwork, there's something known as a disclosure. That is what you have to sign and fill out when you sell a home. If you've never lived in the home, maybe you're selling a parent's home, you don't have to give as many specific descriptions. But if you have lived in the home, you have to give age of the roof. If there's anything wrong, who's the fire department? Who's the HOA? How much does the HOA cost? All those different things. And if you know about it, you have to disclose it. If I know about it and you don't disclose it, we're going to have a talk. So just one of the things. You also should have general staging kind of opinions and advice given from your realtor. If you have a couch that's blocking a door, they're probably going to tell you to move it. If you have tons of pictures on the wall, they're probably going to tell you to take down the personal pictures. That's kind of just something that is known in the real estate world. You don't want a bunch of personal pictures on a wall. You want somebody to walk in and be able to see themselves living in this home. So staging. They're also going to pay for professional photography. There are many realtors and companies that will just have somebody shoot it on their cell phone. That is not a preference that I have. I think it is doing a disservice to the client and sellers, and you really need good photography. So I have a personal favorite in my photography, somebody that I use for everything I do, and she does a great job. So the realtor's also going to jump in and put all of your information, paperwork, details in the MLS. MLS is going to go out to, once it's in the MLS, which is the multiple listing site, it's going to go into multiple other websites as well. Some of those are Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, Redfin. They don't automatically post to social media, but I typically put them there and boost those posts if necessary. Once you've had all of that in there, it's also going to come time for showings. So showings can be a bit tricky in scheduling. There's an app that we have that's called Showing Time. If you sell a house, you're going to know exactly what I'm going to talk about because you will get alerts from that. It basically sends you a text message or a phone call, tells you what time somebody wants to show the house. You say yes or no, reject it, whatever. We hope that you say yes because you're not going to sell the house if you're not showing it. So once you have showings, somebody else wants to buy your house, then you get an offer to you, okay? So that's going to be written up by another agent. The agent's going to give that to me, and then I'm going to present that to you and walk through all the steps on what does this offer mean? Is this good terms? Is this bad terms? You say yes, no, let's work on this. And we go back and negotiate with the other agent. We also, once everything is done, and like we talked about in the buying process, when you're bound, everybody can sign the contract, you get sent a title, we go back through, and I like to put the terms of the contract on my calendar as well. So if they have an expiration of 10 days to negotiate in inspections, I want that on my calendar so I know when that's coming up and we can be ready, okay? We also review closing disclosures, and that's something that title sends out that, like we were talking about earlier in the buying side, it gives you all the fees, all those things, and we want to make sure to know the terms with you and help explain what everything means, because it's sometimes 3 to 4 pages, sometimes more than that, but usually about 3 to 4 pages with all the breakdowns of the fees. Insurance, why are you paying back insurance? Well, you're not paying back insurance, you're paying up until the point that you are selling the house. Just different details that we like to walk you through. And then we also just make sure you get to closing. A lot goes on behind the doors that you may not know, but we like to kind of handle things for you, which is our job. And we also like to be available to answer any of the questions that you may have throughout the whole process. And I know this is a lot of information in a brief amount of time, but like I said, I could go on for 9 hours on this and still barely be, touching on the subject of real estate. Before we get into kind of what it's like to be a realtor, and as far as if you want to be a realtor, I'm going to see if there's any other questions that you might have, through all of this, and hopefully I can answer those for you. So.
Hey, Amy. So let me just remind everybody, if you have questions, you can add those into the comments at any time and I can ask those to Amy. So one of the questions that we did have was talking about a first-time home buyer and just kind of giving that advice to a first-time home buyer as far as like what type of loans they should be looking for. And then and basically just kind of seeing if there's anything for them in this market. Basically just talking about like the market is really tough right now and understanding like what they might be able to do that could enable them to have more success in their home hunting process.
So, Jordan, remind me if I'm missing any of these things, but a lot of that's going to have to do with your lender. Your lender is going to be the one that tells you, like we were talking about earlier, how much you can afford, how much you can pay, it's called your debt to income ratio. If you have too much debt and not enough income, it's going to severely limit what you can do. But basically, advice for first-time home buyers: talk to your lender. They will help guide you, like I said, based on all of your circumstances and your needs. And then also, you just need to be patient. I know that sucks. I hate it. Nobody wants to be patient, but it's kind of it's something that first-time home buyers, as well as other conventional buyers, third, fourth-time buyers, we all have to just learn to be patient. Don't have expectations that you're going to go look at a house tomorrow, you're going to buy it, and then you're going to be done. I've seen people put in 7, 8, 9 offers on homes, and not to be discouraging, but I've seen them put in 7, 8, 9 offers to not get anything, all well over asking prices. And then they were patient, found something that was perfect for them, and they were able to put in the offer and be the only ones to even purchase it, or to put in the offer and then purchase it. So you just have to be patient, and your realtor should help you manage those expectations as far as making you understand that you're not going to get that 4-bedroom, 3-bath on 2 acres for $120,000. And I see that a lot. I have a lot of people tell me that they want, basically the most common one is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths on an acre. Okay. That's very hard to come by right now, no matter the price. But then they also say that they want it for $150,000. You could almost barely get that 5 years ago. So you're definitely not going to be able to get it now. And if you do, it might not be in the preferred area. So manage those expectations and be willing to work with your realtor. Don't get mad at them. There are bad realtors out there. There are a lot of good ones. There are some bad ones. If you happen to end up with a bad one, maybe talk to a friend, family member, or even your lender and find out, is this normal? Are these things we should be experiencing? And if not, it might be time to look into finding a new one. And there's a lot that goes into that as well, because most of the time you're in an agreement with them. But just be patient, manage those expectations, and understand that your realtor is not out to get you. And everybody is working to make money, but we don't make money until we sell you a house. So we're not going to just be out there putting you off and not helping you find a house because we want to make money too. So did I hit all that?
Yeah, you did. You did a great job. Thank you. One of the other questions that popped up, and actually someone sent it to me, was talking about a lot of times with these new apps that people are using to find homes, like Zillow and things like that, there's not always a personal relationship with the realtor. And they were basically talking about asking if you could speak to the pros and the cons of that, of knowing your realtor, having a pre-existing relationship with them, or somebody like you and I used this example before we started today. Like we don't know each other well, but now we have a relationship, and using that as a realtor partnership versus somebody that you just kind of cold call on Zillow and go that route. Can you just kind of talk us through the pros and cons of both of those different dynamics?
I can, and I may get, I'm in my office right now, and I hope no one hears me because I may get things thrown at me, but I will tell you that Zillow, it puts realtors' names there, and those realtors have paid to be in that position. So it is not necessarily the top realtor, and it's not just Zillow, it's most of your other websites as well that have your listings and showing, or listings and houses on them, but those realtors pay to be in those positions. So if you click on a house, oh, this is the house for me, you scroll down a little bit and you see that there is a realtor says, contact me for more information. It might not be the actual list agent, which is a whole other side. in my opinion, you should never contact the list agent about a house, because that list agent is working for the buyer or for the seller, not for you. It is legal to work for both in the state of Tennessee. It's not advised. So that's just a fun piece of information for you there that I hadn't planned on including. But again, those realtors pay to be there, so they may not be the best agent realtor to help you with that home. My advice would be to find a friend or family member, somebody that you know, even if you don't know them. If you know they bought a house or sold a house, they may be able to give you some advice on, hey, I had this really great realtor, you should call them. Or, hey, this realtor was terrible, don't call them. So find somebody that you trust. And if you don't have anybody that you trust that can tell you who their realtor was, find somebody you don't know or trust and still ask those questions.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And this, I actually was jotting down notes while you were talking, and I had a question for you. And so something that has become really common during this time, this market, is kind of like the cold calls to buy people's homes. I know that's happened to me, where I've just gotten the random call of somebody saying, hey, what's your price? You know, as a person who owns a home, right, that's a little scary to me, especially as we talked about before, a first-time homeowner. So what again, like what should people do when that happens? Are those tend to be scams? Are those things that people can rely on? And, just kind of talk us through that hostile market right now, where people are, offering significantly over asking price and just saying, hey, no inspection, we'll come take your house tomorrow, so can you just kind of advise on those types of situations?
So a lot of what I have seen recently is people, and I know someone personally who did this. They got a postcard in the mail that said, we want to buy your house for cash. Okay. These people lived in this home for several years, probably close to 20, didn't buy it from a realtor when they bought it, don't know any realtors, didn't know anybody in lending, didn't have any connections in real estate, called this number back that said they wanted to buy their house, sold it to them. Everything was going seemingly well until they got to closing. Then the people that were supposed to be buying the house didn't actually give them their money. It took almost 2 weeks to get their money. Wasn't necessarily a scam, but a lot of things were wrong in this particular scheme that they used. Definitely some gray areas that should have not happened. I found out how much they sold their house for, and it almost made me sick. They sold their house for about 2/3 of what they could have sold it for, leaving a lot of money on the table and a lot of money that they could have put towards the next purchase of their home. You will also have phone calls from realtors or people who are representing realtors that say, like what he was just saying, it would be basically the same thing as what you'd see on a postcard mailer. They will say, yeah, we want to buy your house. What can we do? Yada, yada. A lot of times those realtors are just trying to get in your door. Not to be doing anything bad. They want to get in your door because it's pretty known that if they can meet with you face to face, they can get your listing. So whether it is they're representing some of these gray area people like on the postcard, or really that they might be legitimate realtors who want to just sell your house and get you good money. Don't be pressured. I always tell people, no matter what, I want to be your realtor. I want to work hard for you, show you what I can do for you, but I might not be the best fit for everybody, and that's fine. There's a realtor for everybody. Okay. My advice is to interview at least 2 to 3 realtors. So if you get a phone call from somebody, if you get a postcard, if you see an advertisement pop up on Facebook, don't just go with the first person that you hear from. Interview several realtors and get a good feel for who's going to be the best fit for you. Of course, research them, find out their track record, ask around people that you know, is this somebody that I should trust? But the biggest thing is find the one that fits for you.
Thank you so much, Amie. I appreciate that. Those were all the questions that we had in our chat and that had been sent to me. So I've got the vendor slide up here, and then I think we have maybe 2 more slides to click through, and then I think we're all set. So I'll come back on at the very end and wrap us up.
Perfect. So this is just a list of vendors that I know, trust, and recommend. It's people that we work with here out of my office. We've got Talent Title Group. They're local here to Knoxville. Got a couple different offices. Old Republic Home Protection, that's a home warranty company. We work with them closely, and we have had them send people out and basically waive service fee calls because there was a particular situation going on. Just really good people to work with. They answer the phone. It's not an automated system kind of thing. Farm Bureau, I specifically work with Jared Galloway out of Anderson County. He does my personal insurance, and everyone that I've recommended him to, he's done great with them as well. Also, Supreme Lending, that is another here in Knoxville. We've got somebody in our office directly that we know and work with here. And then Safety First. Safety First is David Crow. He also has a home repair situation. He doesn't typically double dip and put those things together, but he is one of the best inspectors that I know and I have worked with closely. If something's wrong, he makes it right and fixes it. So those are just the ones that I know and trust. And if you're looking for a particular partner vendor in any of these arenas, I'm happy to share their information with you. You can Google it, but I can send you to their direct phone numbers. So lastly, and we'll be quick on this one because I know we're running out of time, but these are kinds of things that, in my opinion, you should consider if you are interested in becoming a realtor. Everybody over the last 2 years has looked at it and said, oh my gosh, you make great money. Well, I do make good money, but also really work hard for that good money. You can't just sit on your laurels and make the money. But it's something that people think that they can just have a part-time schedule and make all this money and whatever. And you can have a part-time schedule, but you're not going to make as much money as you see the other realtors making that are full-time. So some of the questions here that you might want to ask yourself are, does the schedule fit you? Can you be kind of flexible? Can you do late evening showings? Can you do Saturday morning showings? Does that work for you, your family, another job that you might have? Are you self-motivated? That is a big one. People think that they are self-motivated. They get into real estate and find out that they are, in fact, not self-motivated. They don't have the drive that they really need to succeed in it and be good for their clients too, not just succeed, but it's important to be good for your clients. Are you detail-oriented? There are a lot of things in contracts, and you've seen some of the words and some of the things that we've gone over, but there's a lot that goes into it. And if you are not detail-oriented, you may not do a great job of keeping up with all of it. Are you friendly? You need to basically have a good personality. That's a huge part of it. One is because you need to be able to talk to people and generate leads and business and all that kind of stuff, but also you don't just need to be a turd to other clients and agents. It does not bode well for your business. So can you be friendly? And I like to think most people can, but can you do it on a regular basis? Are you willing to push when negotiations get tough? It's kind of the part of, you still need to be friendly, but you also have to get tough and know how to talk to other people when negotiating. If they come back and say, no, my seller's not going to sell this house for $130,000, and you really know that that's probably all that it's worth, and it might be the only offer that they've got, 130, I should have said 430. But anyway, if you know that that's the only offer that they've got, are you willing to go back to that agent and say, listen, I know that's the only offer you've got. We're not coming up. Take it or leave it. That's tough for some people. Some people just don't have that kind of personality, and that's also fine for other agents, but most of the time you need to be able to step up and be tough. Do you have another job and you want to be part-time? We've got several agents who might be school teachers. We've got some that are nurses. We've got one that works for UPS. You have to make sure that that works with your schedule, but it can happen. We have people who go part-time or who do it part-time and then jump in and become full-time once they've generated enough business and they have enough clients to kind of carry them through. So last, I think Jordan's got the rest of my information up there again. Like I said, please feel free to reach out to me. You can see all of the ways to get in contact with me. And I'm happy to answer phone calls, texts, whatever it might be, to help you in finding a realtor in another area, maybe helping you sell or buy around here, or maybe even guiding to a lender or title. I like to be able to be a good contact for a lot of the different things that you might need in real estate.
Well, Amie, I cannot thank you enough for your time today and sharing your expertise with us. Obviously, this is relevant to so many people right now, especially with all that's happening in the market and everything. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for being Evolve for Life and giving your time and expertise back to all of our alumni and friends. We greatly appreciate it. If anybody has any questions for Amie, all of her information, like she said, is here on the screen. You'll also be able to find this webinar on our website under our events recording, and it'll also be on our YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn pages as well. So you can find it there and refer back to it at any time. I do believe we had an audio issue with the video earlier. I have relinked that in the comments on all of the, I put it back into the comments of all of the streaming services. So you should be able to find that there as well. So Amie, thank you so much again for your time. We really appreciate you. Hope everybody has a great afternoon. And as always, go Vols.
Thank you. Go Vols.